Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Rome himself, and man, it is so late. It is currently closing in on 1 a.m. here on the East Coast, but just like the average human being, I am scrolling down Twitter for better or for worse, but in this case, for better, as I'm scrolling down, I see SNK on their official channels. They dropped us something beautiful, guys. Big announcement, 3 more days coming to the 30th anniversary of the King of Fighters. Get ready. That's all they said, with this nice picture here that has a couple of characters, no Kill, no Terry Bogard, surprisingly, but a hodgepodge too of different artists. I believe it's KOF 13 Rio, that's some classic Shinkiro Athena right there in the front, and of course that's the Ultra UM stuff in the back. But yeah, SNK is finally acknowledging in public the 30th anniversary of KOF. A lot of us have been talking about it secretly, or just more privately in other things where, like, you know, hey, do they remember, you know, this is 2024, KOF 1994, the first game, like, do they remember the anniversary is, as well as even in my own video, the ambitious efforts video that I made, which you should totally check out. It's going to be right here, you can see it on the screen. But that video, I mentioned towards the end of it, you know, what SNK, if they have plans for the 30th anniversary, what will they be doing? As you know, that's 30 years, that's monumental, man. It's a big step. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video to speculate on what we could be seeing as far as the 30th anniversary is concerned. Now that we know there will be something coming, and it is August 25th, that's the date, so make sure you lock it down. That's going to be Sunday. So remember, if you don't live in Japan, you'll probably get the announcement Saturday night or maybe before. But yeah, you know, I want to talk about what we could possibly see there. First though, I need you to do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, like this channel as well, leave a comment too. Let's talk about it down there below, hit the notification bell and all that jazz. Before talking about the 30th anniversary though, let's talk about some of the past anniversaries of the KOF. So the first anniversary that SNK did for KOF was the 10th anniversary. That was in 2004. And that was the KOF 94 Reboot, which was a sort of a remixed version of the original KOF game that has these like 3D backgrounds, which was, I don't even say all the rage, but it's what SNK was doing for some of their other titles as well. And it adds, you know, new artwork to the game. The new mode in here was that it made free edit, which is, you know, basically in KOF 94 you couldn't play separate characters, you had to play a whole team. So if you wanted to play Rio, you had to play the entire Art of Fighting team, or if you want to play Benimaru, you know, full Team Japan. But Reboot has a remixed version where you can pick those 2 characters, and that's really all it did. It kept the balancing intact, and like I said, it just had these newer stages with this unique artwork and remixed music, and it was, to my knowledge, exclusive to the Japanese PS2, so it wasn't something we got globally or even on other consoles. So, and I remember reception for it wasn't necessarily the best because, you know, during the mid-2000s, those graphics was started to wane a bit, you know, and SNK has already done that with their Dreamcast ports of Fighters. The next anniversary was the 15th anniversary, and shocker guys, the 15th anniversary for KOF was actually KOF 12. And we know the history, we know what happened, we understand, you know, the game obviously not doing well at all, right, on any account. And yeah, you know, it was an ambitious game. Obviously the graphics looked great. They remade a lot of things over. They weren't using any more of the Neo Geo sprites. And, you know, looking at it on a surface, I understand it, right? You know, was supposed to celebrate the franchise, and it was supposed to also move the franchise forward. You know, of course that doesn't happen, but thankfully the assets gets reused. You move on to KOF 13 and, you know, just improves on everything. But yeah, I didn't even know that until I made this video that 12 was actually an anniversary title. So you'd think the next anniversary would be the 20th, but I couldn't find anything on this. It looks like SNK didn't actually do anything for the 20th anniversary. The 20th anniversary would have been 2014, and at the time, I think they were developing KOF 14, which comes out in 2016, so that's about 2 years off. 13 is a few years in. 13 came out in 2010 arcade, 2011 console. So yeah, there was no anniversary for the 20th, which that's monumental. I mean, 20 as opposed to 15, you know, I think that's a bit more monumental, but I guess they got a little whiplash from their last 2 anniversaries not doing the best they wanted to. So with that, we move on to now the 30th anniversary of the King of Fighters series and what possibly SNK could be adding or creating for this anniversary. So I think the obvious one, and probably the most likely, is some sort of collection. 30th anniversaries are not prone to having collections for games, especially now. It's been so long, 30 plus years. You got to imagine that majority of the library is on other hardware. It's not on all the newest or latest hardware, so you want to get all of your games to be played there. If a collection of some sort with all of the games, I think it's a good and a bad thing. And just hear me out a little bit. More so, the bad thing is you might lose a little goodwill. So at the moment, you can currently get every arcade KOF game, right? From 94 to 2003. They have the ACA, or it might be ACA, but I always pronounce it as ACA. The ports that you can buy on like Steam, PS4, Xbox One. I think Switch even has it as well. So you can buy those games in all their arcade glory and play them that way. Not to mention, as of late, SNK has dropped a lot of rollback ports for various KOF games. 97 Global Match, 98 Final Edition, 02 UM. And now you can even add KOF 13 to the mix, even though KOF 13 only has a PS4 port. Just imagine if they do make a collection and they put KOF 13 on that collection and you own it on PS3 already. Are you going to commit to buying yet another version of KOF 13? Even if it does have rollback and it does have all the bells and whistles, do you want to commit to that? Of course, you'd be getting a lot more of the titles, right, with that. But this is the good part. If they are going to do a collection, I say this collection should focus primarily on all those elusive titles. I'm talking the Maximum Impact series. I know a lot of people love those games. There's a big following behind them. And they've been trapped on the Generation 6, right? They've only been released on the PS2, and that's it. Regulation 8 hasn't even been released in America, so it'd be nice if we can get a port of that on some modern hardware. Maybe, like, again, have it in the collection. I've been playing the Maximum Impact games on my stream lately, and those games have a lot of content in it, so it would be cool to just get that stuff. But of course, the one that everybody wants, and I think the KOF that deserves some type of re-release at this point, is KOF 11. That is the only game of the big competitive KOF games that you can't really play in this year without emulation or without, original hardware. KOF 11 deserves some type of release. I mean, I talked about it again in my Ambitious Efforts video, which I will shill again, that you should watch, that I talked about how KOF 11 is just, it's a very cool game. The roster was hella diverse. They took some risk with some teams before even KOF 15 had changed up a few teams, and it's just overall a great game. It's also a nice middle ground between the Neo Geo sprites and then before we get to the HD style sprites of KOF 12 and KOF 13. I mean, there's even, Neo Wave. I'm not a Neo Wave fan, but again, another game that a lot of people have not touched or just never really got a chance to experience because they didn't have it on the PS2 going back when they were kids. So yeah, I think if we are going to do a collection, I think it's good to put an emphasis on those games if we're going to celebrate the history of KOF, because those are a part of history. They were different than the norm, whether it was the music, whether it was the graphic style, whether it was even the developers behind it. I think it's a part of history. So I definitely want a collection if it's going to have all of those things mixed in, right? Orochi Saga, NES Saga, Ash Saga, 3D era games, even some of the offshoots like Neo Wave, things like that. Because it could really, stretch your buck out. Now, recently, about 2 years or so ago, SNK did a collection for Samurai Showdown, which has Samurai Showdown 1 through 5 special. Plus, it has a new release game of Samurai Showdown 5 Perfect, which is such a funny name because 5 special is already a perfect game. But that collection, I believe it was published by SNK, but it was developed by Digital Eclipse. I know some people didn't really like the collection too much, but I thought from a casual standpoint, I mean, it had what you would want, a museum mode, a art mode. It had a gallery where you could look at the making of the game and how some thought processes were made when creating certain characters. And I would just like to see something, for KOF like that. I think just to tell us more, right? The KOF book that came out some years ago was nice, and it had some insight on things, but you can never not learn enough about these characters and how SNK were creating, icons, legends, historical giants in the context of fighting games, during the 90s and stuff like that. Again, goes a long way. Would not mind an easy port like that. I think the next thing they could do is maybe a new media for KOF, right? So if you've been watching my streams, I've been watching some fighting game anime, and one of the latest things I watched for the first time was KOF Destiny. I'm gonna save my full thoughts on that for another time, but I'll just say that it was better than I expected it to be, and it was just fun that it exists. So for a 30th anniversary, why not have an exclusive anime? We already have Obari, we got him to do the intro for KOF 15. Why not have an exclusive anime now that celebrates the game? Maybe one that does some original things with the stories, maybe one that focuses on 15, right? Focuses on Shune and develops him a bit more into the protagonist that I know SNK wants him to be. Of course, you know, just take it back to the day, go back to KOF 94 style. Regardless, you know, I think an OVA or some type of anime, some celebration, you know, hopefully a series, that would be so cool to have. I also want to touch on the possibilities of a manga. KOF has had some great mangas in the past. There was the one that went alongside KOF 14, and recently too at New York City Comic Con, shout outs to Felicimo on her YouTube channel. She was at Comic Con, and the SNK panel that was here, they had this really cool, like, it was SNK Cross Shueisha. It was a KOF event. It was called KOF Revamp, I think, and it was pretty much like a virtual reality manga experience is what they called it. And it was at Comic-Con, and it took you through all of the different eras, and they had some like panels specific for Kyo and Yuri. And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's something that SNK was building up to. So that could be another thing, right? There could be a manga, a celebration manga on the series as a whole. Whatever these news could be, I just hope that there is some merchandise to go inside with it. Maybe a 30th anniversary t-shirt, maybe some trinkets. I mean, SNK characters have some of the coolest designs. You know, everyone wears a Terry Bogard hat, but I want to wear the Billy Kane bandana, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to buy one of my fans and it has like the print and everything on it. I want to buy the K-Dash shades, you know, things like that. You know, I hope there's some merchandise to go with all of this, because what way to show your love for a series that is so old, that is older than some of us and barely younger. I'm 32, so KOF is barely younger than me, and I'm an old ass man. But for some people that grew up with this series, loving it as kids, the people who got into it more lately, you know, what a great way to go out and celebrate the 30th anniversary with some awesome merchandise so they can wear it and show all their friends. Let me know in the comments what you guys think though. What do you think SNK is going to be showing us this weekend for the 30th anniversary? You know I'm going to be locking that in. I'll probably be on stream looking at whatever it is, so make sure to pop on in through. But with that being said, I am Rome himself. You've been great, and I'll see you.